So of course string is one of the data type, right? Integer is a data type. Remember earlier we actually find out what is that type, right? Earlier we actually used the keyword type to find out whether it's integer, is it a float, or things like that. So string is one of the data type. Of course you can use to represent text, numbers, alphabet, spaces, special character. So you can include comma, full stop, and colon. Now Python actually has a lot of library which allows us to manipulate strings. So we will see how we can actually do that. Now you have to take note that computer always converts every character into string. Now in MicroP, if you remember, the keyboard character that is converted is which format? ASCII code. Very good. So it is still true, the keyboard, when you're typing it is in ASCII code. But then there is another standard which is known as Unicode. Have you heard of this? Unicode? So Unicode, what is actually Unicode? Now keyboard is not necessarily only defined to US or UK. There are also Arabic, French, different types of codes, right? ASCII code only represents whatever character that you see on your keyboard. But what if you have like Arabic letters or French letters or any other letters, right? ASCII code is already filled here. So Unicode, it's a number system where it represents all the other characters. So Unicode means it's much more comprehensive. It covers all the keyboard letters that you see, non-English letter or whatever. So that is Unicode. So Python actually is using the Unicode. So Unicode is used to encode and represent text as numbers. So for example, the letter A is converted into Unicode 97. So if you type, so what is the ordinate A in Jupyter cell and press enter, you will observe 97 as an output, which actually shows that it is the A is converted into the Unicode 97. Okay, we will do that in a while. So how do you actually define a character? Either you can actually use a single quote or you can use double quote. Both works. Both can be used for strings. So just now we mentioned about this keyword, and we said either you can use double quote or you can use single quote. Then you can put A, then you see you get 97, which is the Unicode. So here it is actually using the Unicode. Now you might be wondering, what is this ORD is all about? So what's another way that you can actually use to find out about what it is? Always you can put a question mark. Sorry, the previous one. Hold on. It's again small. Is it okay? So sometimes whenever you type something, if I've forgotten to explain what are certain keywords are, and suddenly wondering what are all these keyword, you can actually always use question mark, and when you run you can actually see what is it. So it's a built-in function or method. So ORD is a built-in function. How do you use it? What is the signature? It is ORD. And what it does? It actually returns the Unicode point for one character string. So that's how you can actually use the question mark to get it's like help getting the help. Is that okay? Now let's move on.
So why ORD question mark would have any output?
Sorry?
Is there any output for that?
No, output, because it's a help. So that's why it comes out this small portion at the bottom there. It explains what's the documentation about the ORD. So that's what we are seeing here.
So
with question mark, it will show like this.
As long as it is a built-in function.
So ORDB also got value, is it?
Yeah, yeah. For every character, just I mentioned earlier, the earlier one we actually use ASCII, right? But here in Python it uses Unicode. So it supports all the other letters as well as non-English letters as well. So Unicode has the representation for far more symbols that you see on the keyboard here. So which means you can be from any country, then you can type still the Unicode is able to support. Is that okay? Now let us try to type the following code. So let us establish, write a string enclosed in a single quote. So how is the output going to be if you do this? You'll get exactly the same thing, right? Sorry, spelling mistake. So when you see output, you know that it is a string. So as I mentioned earlier, there's also another way that you can actually use double quote, right? This is another way to specify a string. So let's say if you do this, what do you get? The output always gives a single quote output, right, which indicates a string. But if you put single quote when you're defining, or you put double quote, still the same, both are for the string as well. What happens if you put single quote like this? Yeah, it actually will give it as it is, because whatever in between two single quote or a single quote, every single characters will be defined as characters, string, as a string. Is that okay? Can I move on to the next page? Now what if we have multiple strings? How can you actually print them? So if you're using print statement and you have multiple, you can actually just use comma to print it out. So all the strings will be printed out with a space between them. So let's say you have, let's say you're going to name as apple fruits lah. So you just put a comma. So it will treat as all separate strings. So separating strings as easy as just putting a comma. Apple, banana, what else fruits you want? Durian. Then if you put fruits. So when you print this, you see it actually prints without the comma, because it actually prints with the space in between them. So apple, banana, durians are fruits. They are not single string. They are actually 4 strings, right? Apple, banana, durian are fruits, but you can actually print them together. Is that okay? So now we are trying to understand all the functions with the string. Yes?
I just want what's the difference between this double quote and single quote?
Both are the same.
What are the
Both are the same.
so there's no difference?
No difference. When you want to define a string, you can either use double quote or single quote. No difference. But now the next thing that we will see is what happens if you just use a single quote. What happens? So let's try to see. Yeah. So now we're trying to just print with a single quote. So let's try to print this. Okay, let's do this. I put a single quote, right? Whenever you put one time single quote, automatically it will give the closing single quote altogether. But let's say if you want to use this kind of word, aren't you coming. What did you notice here? Yeah. So let's say then you thought that, okay, never mind, I put another single quote here lah. When I press single quote, then comes another one like this. Okay, never mind, delete one, just to make it. But do you see that what happens is it takes one single quote and it tries to match with the another single quote, and then the remaining is all different color. So if you print this, you see, it tells the invalid syntax for the T onwards. It doesn't recognize that as a character, right?
So use double quote.
No, even if you use double quote also, remember double quote and single quote. Okay, let's say if we use that lah, double quote, double quote and double quote, then it actually will be matching. But if you use the single quote, then you try to match the single quote with the single quote. So in case, let's say, one good way is how he said to solve it, you use the double quote. But let's say if you use single quote, then you come with this kind of issues. So how can you actually solve this, since you're getting this, right? So how we can actually do this is by adding a backslash. So the backslash is known as the escape character. Let me just copy this one, again the same thing. We're just going to paste it back. So in order for you to print a single quote apostrophe, so you want to print such characters, then we can actually use a backslash. So this backslash are called as escape characters. So then you just include the backslash. So when you include the backslash, do you see that the other characters color also changed now? So one way is, of course, one practice that always you can use double quote, but if you are using single quote and suddenly if you have error, you can actually use the escape character, which is the backslash. So now you're trying to print, you're getting the same thing as earlier when you used the double quote. Is that okay up to this point? So far in string there are a lot of manipulation, so we will be spending a little bit time on the string. There's a lot of functions are there. So this is what we have been using. The print function, it actually produces a readable output by omitting the enclosed code in the output. Of course, it can also perform special tasks by using the escape characters. One such example is if you're using the backslash T, it generates a tab. Backslash N is a new line. This one you have seen before, right, in programming. Slash T and slash N with the print statement. So let's see if we are using print, let's see, use the same thing. So here we are going to use the backslash, and let's say if here we are using backslash T, what happens? It introduces a tab. There, a tab, because of this.
So why you put 2 T? Why?
Now this one is aren't new coming.
Okay. Okay.
Here why we put this is escape character to allow the print function to print that single apostrophe. But here we're just simply putting the effect to see the effect of backslash T, which introduces a tab. Now if the same thing here, if you forget to put the apostrophe, which is actually what you want to write, right? So if you do this, what happens? It translates this as a tab, and again space tab. So by right, if you miss that, and you come in. Is that okay? Now, likewise, if you use, what happens if you use /n? So it prints up a new line. Is that okay? So now you have seen how to use / escape characters and the usage of /t and /n for tab and also new line. Now, one issue that we may face as later when you are going to use Python and Jupyter Notebook to read data from files, right? You need to import files, right? So when you import files, there's two ways that several ways actually you can do. We will see that later. One of the way is, of course, you can put the same file in the same directory as your notebook. If it's in the same directory or same folder, then you don't need to specify the file directory path. But let's say if the file is somewhere else, your notebook is somewhere else and the file is somewhere else, and you say, no, I want all the files to be there. So you need to actually give the file directory path. And usually you give the file directory path as, for example, C colon and then \, right? Now we may have issue there with the \. Like, so for example, let's say, like for example this one, let's so let's say when we try to display the path of a directory, such as this is a C directory, but this is / users normal, right? You have that / users in your Windows. Then / for example, this one is coincidentally comes as a new directory. The file name starts with N. So what happens? So let's say if you print single quote, you C colon / new directory, right? This is the directory, for example. So this one, put this one So what happens? Wait, let me just try one only. Okay, these are things that I want to show actually. So you can see that the N, it actually treats this as a new line. So it comes something like this. So that is a function that you can actually use to state directory or to print directory path. So that is why we're getting like that, because /n is used to generate new line. So to avoid the new line, we use the letter R at the starting of the directory name. So we can use print, then we use the letter R. So now it has C colon / new directory. So now when you use R, it actually retains the entire string. So you see, you get, when you print out, it comes like that. Is that okay?
So what we cannot use the
It's just a case lah. Not necessarily most of the time your directory name comes like this. But this is if you want to actually print. But when you want to call the functions, then you write directly like this, is not a problem. or when you want to print the directory name or things like that, just to show some functions that are associated with the string, how it actually, because we have the \n, \t, how it actually acts when you overlooked. So to overcome that in printing, then you can actually use R to retain the entire string.
So why cannot put \t instead of R? Cannot use
\t means this tab, it introduces tab.
after the okay.
Got it? So this is for you to take note. Sometimes you see why things are not behaving as how you want, so you can actually have a look at this. Now we're looking at how you actually want to combine or concatenate the strings. So concatenating the strings is as easy as just including the plus operator sign. So this is something similar like object-oriented programming in Java also. You want to combine strings, you can just use plus. You can just combine the string. So Python also has that. So let us do this one example before we end the class. So let's define string, the first string. So either we want to use single quote or double quote, up to you. Then we have string 2. So this one may be, so 2 strings, pi and then tan. So let's try to see what happens if string 1 you plus with string 2. So you are as easy as that. So it just combines the string. Is that okay? So I'll stop the recording now.